Jenna sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the small box of letters on her desk. Each envelope bore Marcus's neat handwriting, the one she had once traced with her fingertip, as if reading his words in relief. Now, the letters smelled faintly, of dust and old paper. Marcus had moved 3 months ago, halfway across the country, chasing his dream job in a city that shimmered with promise. Jenna missed him every day, but calling him felt too hard. Every morning she slipped on her worn sneakers and jogged around the neighborhood park. She remembered the afternoons they ran side by side, breathing in the cool air and laughing whenever one of them tripped over a stray root. Now she ran alone, her feet pounding the pavement in time with her hollow heartbeat. She watched other friends chatting on their phones, heads bobbing as they shared jokes. She longed for Marcus's voice, his easy laughter, the way he teased her about her stubborn pace. At work, Jenna poured herself into her tasks. She organized files, answered calls, and offered gentle help to customers who looked as lost as she felt. She took pride in her steady hands and her clear voice, reminding herself that she could shine even when her own joy felt dim. She believed that people mattered and that kindness made the world better. That belief, she told herself, was her humanity, and humanity was never off limits. But at night, when the lights went out and the city quieted, Jenna's thoughts wandered back to Marcus. She missed the way he tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, the soft way he said goodnight before they logged off their video chat. Their calls had become shorter and more strained. He spoke of new projects, long work hours, a crowded apartment that smelled of fresh paint. She smiled and listened, but inside she felt the gap between them widen, as vast and cold as the distance on the map. One evening, Jenna tried to send him a goofy video of her dancing with an umbrella in the rain. She imagined him laughing, sending back a teasing message about her silly moves. But after she hit send, her heart sank. She watched the indicator spin, then flash delivered. No reply. She closed her laptop slowly, as if shutting a door on hope itself. The next day, Jenna asked her grandmother for advice. Grandmother, a soft-spoken woman with silver hair and bright eyes, listened patiently as Jenna spilled her worries over tea. "He misses you too," her grandmother said, her voice gentle but firm. "Distance can test even the strongest bonds. But you have a brave heart. You know that small sparks can light the darkest sky." Jenna nodded, clutching her teacup. She thought of all the times she and Marcus had solved problems together, fixing a broken bike chain, helping a stray dog find its home, cheering on their favorite team. They had faced challenges with hope and a belief that nothing could stop them if they worked together. That belief was the heart of HFY humanity's stubborn courage and kindness. Determined, Jenna began drafting an idea. She emptied her old sketchbook, had filled its pages with plans, a handwritten journal they could pass back and forth by mail, each adding drawings and stories, a playlist of their favorite songs saved to an online folder, a virtual game night they could schedule every Sunday. She wrote Marcus a long email, laying out each idea with care. She told him how much she valued their friendship and how proud she was of his new life. She sent the email with a trembling finger. Days passed. Jenna tried to focus on her sketchbook drawings, a cartoon of herself and Marcus as explorers on an alien planet, a map dotted with smiley faces, marking places they had visited together. She painted the sky golden and the water shimmering blue, imagining that every stroke brought her closer to him. She believed that art could bridge any divide. One morning, as sunlight slanted through her curtains, Jenna's phone buzzed. She picked it up and gasped. Marcus had replied. His message was long and warm. He loved the journal idea. The playlist made him smile, and the cartoon made him laugh out loud. He said he had been worried about imposing if he called too often, afraid Jenna might be busy or bored. He missed her, too, more than he could say. He promised to mail his first journal entry that day and asked when they could start their game night. Jenna's eyes filled with tears of relief. She read his words again, feeling her heart lift. She realized that hope and honesty could conquer distance. She typed back a cheerful response, setting their first game night for that Sunday evening. She closed her eyes and pictured Marcus's surprised smile. That night, Jenna placed a sheet of fresh paper into the journal and wrote, "No matter how far apart we are, you are never off limits in my heart." She drew a tiny rocket ship soaring across stars, carrying a note that read, "See you soon." Then she sealed the envelope, stamped it, and dropped it into the mailbox. As she walked home, Jenna felt lighter, as if the distance had already begun to shrink. She carried with her the quiet power of hope and the knowledge that human courage and kindness could bridge any gap. Jenna woke before dawn, her heart racing as she remembered today's promise. She hurried to her mailbox, fingers trembling, and there it was, a thick envelope in Marcus's neat handwriting. She carried it inside, closed the door, and sat on the floor with the letter in her lap. Her breath caught when she saw the first page. Marcus had drawn a tiny sketch of their favorite coffee shop, complete with their names on 2 mugs. Below, he wrote about his first week in the new city, how he felt both excited and lonely. Jenna's eyes filled with tears of joy. She flipped the page and found Marcus's journal entry. He described a small victory at work, solving a problem no one else could then, admitted he missed their late-night talks. He confessed that he had been afraid to call, not wanting to interrupt her life. He closed with encouragement. "Your kindness reminds me why I believe in people." Jenna pressed the paper to her chest. In that moment, she felt the distance shrink. Quietly, she set the journal on her desk and brewed coffee, her hands steady and sure. She recalled how she had shown Marcus the power of small acts, leaving cheerful notes for strangers, helping a neighbor carry groceries, singing softly to a child on the bus. Those simple acts, she realized, were the heart of HFY, the way humans lift each other up with kindness and hope. She wanted to show Marcus she still cared. Jenna gathered colored pens, stickers, and paper. She opened her sketchbook and began sketching a map of her neighborhood, marking the park where they jogged and the bookstore where they shared dreams. She drew tiny footprints leading from her home to his, each footstep a promise that she was thinking of him. As she worked, her sadness melted into determination. She would bridge this gap with creativity and care. When the sketch was done, Jenna wrote her own journal entry. She told Marcus how proud she was of him for finding courage in a new place. She described a funny incident, how 2 squirrels chased her for an acorn, and she had laughed so hard her sides ached. She added photos of her painting experiments, bright colors swirling across the page. She ended with a question. "What made you laugh this week?" Next, Jenna planned their virtual game night. She dug out their old online game key and tested her equipment. She printed a simple invitation on a card, "Sunday at 7 p.m. Play our favorite game and laugh until we drop." And she placed it atop the journal entries. She imagined Marcus's smile when he saw it. Then she sealed the package and mailed it, picturing the envelope soaring across states to reach him. That Sunday evening, Jenna sat at her desk, coffee, mug in hand, waiting for Marcus to log in. When his avatar appeared on her computer screen, she felt a rush of warmth. They greeted each other with big waves and excited shouts. As they played, they traded jokes, teased each other gently, and cheered each small victory. Laughter flowed between them like a bridge across the miles. Jenna realized that even screens could carry the power of human connection. After the game ended, they stayed online. Marcus shared stories of new friends he had met at work. Jenna described a painting she had finished, a sunrise over a field of flowers. They talked until their eyes grew heavy, promising to do it again next week. When they finally said goodnight, Jenna felt light and hopeful. She had reached across the distance and found Marcus waiting on the other side. In the following days, Jenna noticed a change in herself. She woke each morning eager to add to their journal, to send postcards of her daily adventures. She painted small canvases and mailed them. She wrote little notes of encouragement and tucked them into packages. Each act reminded her that human kindness could travel farther than any distance. One afternoon, Jenna punched in a date on her calendar, a day next month when she would visit Marcus's city. She booked her ticket, heart fluttering with excitement. She imagined the moment she would step off the train and see him waiting. She believed that humans truly could overcome any distance with courage and hope. Late at night, Jenna sat by her window and looked at the stars. She whispered to the sky, "Distance may test us, but it will never break us." A gentle wind brushed her cheek, as if agreeing. She closed her eyes and smiled, certain that the human spirit, brave, caring, hopeful, would light their path back to each other. Jenna woke early, with a flutter in her chest. Today, she would finally send Marcus the small package she had prepared, a painted rock with their initials, a mix CD of new songs, and a letter filled with her news. She dressed quickly, careful not to smudge the paint on her fingers. She sealed the box. She thought of all the times she and Marcus had shared little gifts rocks from the beach. Mixtapes, handwritten notes. Those simple acts had bound them together. At the post office, Jenna stood in line, clutching the package. Around her, people hurried with bills and parcels, each carrying something important. When her turn came, she placed the box on the counter and watched the clerk slide it into the mail slot. "On its way," the clerk said with a smile. Jenna's heart felt light. She had bridged the gap with her own hands. Back home, Jenna set about a new project. She remembered how Marcus loved stories, so she decided to write a short tale starring them as explorers on a distant planet. She opened her laptop and typed the title, "The Starbound Friends." Fingers dancing, she described cliffside forests that glowed at night and rivers that sang softly. She made them face a gentle challenge, finding a lost book of maps and solve it together, using teamwork and kindness. She ended the story with them sitting by a campfire, sharing memories of home. The story complete, Jenna printed it and illustrated the cover with watercolor crayons. She folded the pages neatly and tied them with a ribbon. This too would go to Marcusa, another bridge across the miles. As she worked, she felt herself relax. Writing had always been her way of connecting. Days slipped by as Jenna waited for a reply. Each morning, she checked her mailbox and her email, hope rising and falling like the tide. She painted more rocks for Marcus, adding different colors and patterns until her desk looked like a little gallery. She wondered if he felt the same, flutter when he sent her journal entries, or if he had forgotten how much she cared.
Ow.
One afternoon, a text popped onto her phone. "Hey, I got everything. I love the painted rock. It looks like a tiny planet. Your story made me cry. Happy tears." Jenna's breath caught. She pressed her hand to her heart. "When can we talk?" The message continued. "I have news." That evening they met on video chat. Marcus held up a small shelf lined with her painted rocks. Jenna laughed, delighted. He told her about how he arranged them like constellations on his desk. Then he shared his big news. He had been offered a chance to lead a local art workshop in his new city. He was nervous but excited. "I wish you were here," he said softly. Jenna smiled through tears. "I wish I were there too, but I believe in you," she said. She told him how his courage inspired her every day. They talked late into the night, sharing ideas and dreams. When they finally said goodnight, Jenna felt that she had found her way back to him. Inspired, Jenna made a plan. She would host a small art exhibit at her local community center, showing her painted rocks and her story illustrations. She wanted Marcus to feel proud of her creativity, just as she felt proud of his new role. He sketched a flyer and spread the word among friends. The show would take place the weekend after her visit to his city. On the day of the exhibit, Jenna arranged her work on tables beneath soft lights. Rocks, some painted like galaxies, some like tiny suns, sat beside storybooks and framed prints. People came and admired her art. They asked questions. What inspired these colors? What's the story about? Jenna answered each with warmth, telling them about a faraway friend and the power of simple gifts. Among the visitors was Mrs. Patel, a neighbor who had known Jenna since childhood. She smiled as she looked at a rock painted bright green and gold. "This reminds me of hope," she said. Jenna felt a glow of pride. She realized that her acts of kindness and creativity did more than reconnect her with Marcus, they touched others too. After the exhibit closed, Jenna packed her things but left a small stack of flyers by the door. One read, "Human stories can cross any distance. Share a kind word today." She locked up and walked home, her steps light. That night, Jenna called Marcus. He listened as she described the exhibit and the neighbors who smiled at her work. He promised to show photos of his art workshop, and the students painted rocks. They laughed, imagining a future where their art and stories mingled. As Jenna ended the call, she looked at the stack of rocks on her desk, each one a testament to human creativity and care. She whispered to them, "No distance can stop us." She believed that humanity's spirit, its hope and kindness, could connect hearts anywhere. And with that, she went to sleep, dreaming of the day she and Marcus would stand together in an art studio. Painting rocks side by side under the same sky, Jenna woke to gray clouds drifting across her window. Today, she would plan her trip to Marcus's city. Her heart fluttered between hope and nervousness. She dressed in jeans and a soft sweater, then sat at her desk with a map spread before her. Each dotted line felt like a small promise of reunion. She traced her finger from her home to his new address. The distance looked long on the page, but Jenna believed that maps did not measure the strength of the human heart. She picked up her phone and searched for train schedules. Lines of text filled the screen, showing departure times, prices, and travel lengths. She pressed her lips together, choosing the earliest morning train so she could surprise Marcus before work.
As she
Booked her ticket, Jenna pictured his surprised smile. She remembered how his eyes would light up whenever she appeared at his door unannounced. That memory gave her courage. Humanity taught her that small acts of bravery like booking a ticket could grow into great moments of joy. She smiled, imagining the two of them laughing together again. Next, Jenna thought about gifts. She had sent rocks, songs, and journals, but this time she wanted something different. She opened her sketchbook and painted a small canvas of two figures standing under a rainbow. One figure wore Marcus's bright blue hat, and the other wore Jenna's favorite scarf. Underneath, she wrote, "Together again." She let the paint dry, then wrapped the canvas with care. At noon, Jenna took a break and walked to the local bakery. The scent of fresh bread and sweet pastries warmed her chest. She picked up a box of cinnamon rolls, Marcus's favorite, and tapped her fingers on the paper bag. She imagined him unwrapping the warm treats and laughing at the sticky sugar on his fingers. She tucked the box into her backpack as another small bridge across the miles. Back home, Jenna wrote Marcus a simple message. "I'm coming to visit next week. I can't wait to see you." She pressed send before doubt could creep in. Her stomach fluttered, but she trusted her hope. HFY meant facing fear with kindness and determination. She believed that honest words would open doors. That evening, Jenna called her best friend Sarah for advice. Sarah had moved away once and knew how it felt to reconnect. "Just be yourself," Sarah said. "Tell him how much you care and let things flow." Jenna nodded, feeling her sadness lift. Talking with Sarah reminded her that humans helped each other through hard times. The next morning, Jenna packed her suitcase. She folded clothes neatly, placed her sketchbook on top, and slipped in the wrapped canvas and the cinnamon rolls. She added a small note, "Open when you need a smile." Each item felt like a piece of her heart traveling across the country. On the day of departure, Jenna arrived at the station early. She held her ticket to her chest, breathing in deep. Other passengers rushed by with suitcases and coffee cups. Jenna found her seat by the window and watched the platform fill. When the train doors slid open, she stepped inside and settled in. As the train pulled away, she watched her town fade into green fields and rolling hills. Hours passed. Of the wheels on the tracks became a lullaby of possibility. Jenna closed her eyes and remembered their talks long ago. Plans for the future, dreams of traveling together, hopes of making the world kinder. She felt tears slip free, but they were not only sad tears, they were tears of hope. She was on her way to make their dreams real. Finally, the train slowed and hissed to a stop. Jenna stood, carrying her backpack. She stepped onto the platform of Marcus's station. The air smelled of rain and concrete. She looked around for him. At first, the crowd seemed full of strangers. But then she saw a figure in a blue hat standing near the exit. Her heart thundered. She walked toward him, her steps grew bolder. Marcus turned, and their eyes met. Time seemed to pause. He smiled, and Jenna felt every mile between them vanish. She held out the wrapped canvas and the box of cinnamon rolls. "Welcome home," she whispered. Marcus laughed softly, his eyes misting. He took the gifts and hugged her. They stood close under the station's bright lights, the noise of trains and people fading into the background. Jenna realized that reconnecting was not about grand gestures, but about showing up honestly and bravely. Later, they walked through the city's streets, sharing cinnamon rolls and talking about everything and nothing. Jenna told Marcus about her map, her sketchbook, her calls with Sarah. Marcus told Jenna about his first art class, the friends he had made, and how much he had missed her. Each word wove their lives back together. As the night ended, they sat on a bench overlooking a lit fountain. Jenna leaned against Marcus's shoulder. The water danced in rainbow lights. She thought about human hope, how it could cross maps, build bridges, and bring two friends back together. She squeezed Marcus's hand and knew that no. Jenna returned home the day after her visit, her suitcase lighter, but her heart heavy with the distance once more. She unpacked her clothes, gently folding each shirt and placing them back in the drawer. The small canvas she had painted now sat on her desk, a bright reminder of their reunion. But as she looked around her quiet room, she felt the ache of emptiness settle in her chest. For a few hours, Jenna tried to keep busy. She swept the floor, watered her plants, and answered emails from work. Each task felt hollow without Marcus. At her side, even the coffee tasted different. She hated that the simple things reminded her he was far away again. She wondered if she would ever bridge the gap between their lives. That evening, Jenna sat at her desk with the canvas before her. She traced the painted rainbow with her fingertip. The colors glowed softly in the lamp's light. She remembered how Marcus had smiled when he saw it, how his eyes had lit up. Jenna took a deep breath and told herself she could feel that joy again. She opened her laptop and searched for new ways to connect. She found an idea, a shared online journal where they could both write and draw in real time. Jenna hesitated. Technology sometimes felt cold compared to handwritten letters. But she reminded herself that HFY meant using every tool humans had to stay close. She set up an account and sent Marcus an invitation. "Let's try something new." The next morning, her phone buzzed. Marcus had accepted. His first entry was a simple message in green ink font. "Hello, from my workshop. Here's a picture of my students' first art pieces." Attached was a photo of bright, hopeful paintings. Jenna's face broke into a smile. She typed back, "They look amazing. You inspire them well." With the shared journal open, Jenna sketched a corner of her garden, the rose bush just blooming. A small bench under the oak tree. She wrote a note, "When you visit next time, let's sit here and plan our next adventure." Then she closed the laptop and felt a spark of warmth. That afternoon, Jenna planned a surprise. She gathered colorful cardstock markers and stickers. She made a small card that read, "Human hearts can cross any map." Inside she wrote, "I believe in us." She folded it and slipped it into a small envelope. She addressed it to Marcus and mailed it, picturing him finding it on his desk. Days passed, and Jenna missed Marcus's voice. Their video calls were fun, but her heart ached to hear him laugh in person. She felt sad again. One night she nearly deleted the shared journal, thinking it was not enough. But she remembered her grandmother's words. Small sparks can light the darkest sky. She opened the journal instead and left a hopeful note. Over the next week, they filled the journal with stories and sketches. Jenna drew a comic of them as space travelers discovering a planet made of flowers. Marcus added a scene of them planting the first seed. Each page felt like a step toward each other. Jenna realized that human creativity could build bridges stronger than steel. One day at work, a customer asked Jenna about the painted canvas on her desk. The canvas she had brought home from Marcus's city. Jenna smiled and told the customer about her friend and the journey they shared. The customer nodded and said, It is amazing how art can connect people, Jenna agreed, feeling proud of her efforts to keep their bond alive. That evening, Jenna found a letter in her mailbox. It was Marcus's card with the quote she had written. Inside, he had written, "You give me hope every day. Thank you for believing." Jenna held the card close and felt tears of joy. She knew then that no matter the miles, their hearts were intertwined. As the week ended, Jenna sat by her window and looked at the stars. The sky was clear and full of light. She whispered, "Distance is just a number." She knew that with every small act, each letter, each sketch, each call, they were closing the gap. Her hope shone as brightly as the stars above, testament to human courage and kindness. Jenna rose from her chair and turned off the lamp. In the dark room, she smiled, certain that tomorrow she would find another way to reach Marcus. For humanity's spirit was never off limits, and in that truth, she found endless hope. Jenna woke to the sound of her phone buzzing on the nightstand. It was Marcus's message. "I have an idea." Her heart leaped. She sat up and read on. He wanted them to start a joint art project online. They would invite friends and strangers to send small paintings, poems, or photos about hope. Then they would assemble them into a digital mosaic. Jenna smiled. She swung her legs over the bed and pulled on her slippers. She opened her laptop and video called Marcus. His face filled the screen, tired but excited. He held up a sketch, a grid of tiny squares, each with a letter forming the word home. He explained that each contributor's work would fill one square. When they all came together, the mosaic would spell hope. Jenna nodded, eyes shining. She loved the idea. Humans share art to share their hearts, she said. This will bring us all closer. Marcus grinned. They talked late into the night, planning how to spread the word. He would make a simple website, share it on social media, and ask everyone they knew to join. The next day, Jenna woke determined. She brewed coffee and wrote the first blog post for their project site. She described how distance could feel like a wall, but art could build bridges, invited anyone, anywhere, to add their piece. Her hands trembled, but she was proud. At work, Jenna mentioned her project to a coworker, Liam. He stopped sorting papers and listened. When she finished, he said, "That's wonderful. I know someone in my art class who'd love to join." Took her phone and snapped a photo of the blog post's QR code. Jenna felt the warmth of human kindness spreading. By evening, Marcus sent his first update. 5 submissions already. A child's crayon rainbow, a black and white photo of an old oak tree, a short poem about sunrise. Jenna gasped at each one. She read the poem aloud. Light returns. Hope remains. Marcus's eyes glowed on video. Every piece matters, he said. He spent hours adding submissions to the grid. Jenna copied and pasted images. Marcus adjusted colors so each piece fit. They laughed when a painting of a cat ended up in the center. It made them smile. They worked side by side across time zones, proving that human creativity could cross any border. Over the next days, submissions poured in. Neighbors, online friends, even strangers from other countries sent art. Jenna woke every morning, eager to see new work. Each piece told a story: a photograph of a sunset, a painting of smiling faces, a note of encouragement. Jenna felt hope growing in her chest. One afternoon, she walked through the park where she and Marcus had once jogged together. She carried her phone and showed video callers the lawn where they raced before. "Look," she said, pointing. "This place holds our memories." She laughed as 2 squirrels scurried past. Then she added the park scene to the mosaic, a small digital painting of oak leaves. That evening, Jenna and Marcus held a live online gathering. They invited everyone who had contributed. Faces filled the screen: children, parents, artists, friends. Jenna welcomed them in simple English and gentle smiles. "Thank you for sharing your art," she said. "Together we make hope." As the mosaic slowly formed on the page, viewers cheered. Someone typed, "This makes me feel less alone." Another wrote, "Art unites us." Jenna's eyes filled with tears. She realized that HFY humanity's strength shone brightest when people shared their hearts. When the grid was complete, they revealed the final image, the word home. Spelled in glowing squares of art, Jenna gasped at the beauty. Marcus leaned closer to the camera, voice soft. "This is our home," he said. "Every corner of the world, together." Jenna logged off and closed her eyes. She pictured Marcus beside her, painting the last square. She believed that hope, creativity, and kindness could bring people together anywhere. Late that night, Jenna placed her phone on the charger and kissed. "The screen," she whispered. "Thank you for this gift." Then she turned off the lamp and let dreams of shared art and reunited hearts carry her to sleep. Jenna woke to the soft glow of morning light. Today was the day she would send Marcus one last gift before her next trip to his city. She dressed quickly, choosing a bright yellow scarf she knew he loved. She smiled, remembering how he had teased her about the color but always said it cheered him up. At her desk, Jenna laid out her plan. She had come far since the first sad days after Marcus moved away. She had mailed letters, shared art projects, hosted online game nights, and built the mosaic of hope with dozens of friends. Each step had shown her that human kindness and creativity could bridge any distance. But now she wanted something deeper, promise of the future. She opened her laptop and wrote a short story about them. In the tale, two friends stood on opposite sides of a vast canyon, each had a lantern, glowing with warm light. They built a bridge of stepping stones across the chasm. With every stone they placed, the canyon grew smaller. At the end, they met in the middle, their lanterns merging into a bright star. Jenna titled the story, "The Bridge of Light." She saved it as a PDF and printed a copy. Next, she gathered small stones from her garden path. Each stone was smooth and cool. She painted tiny stars on them with silver paint. On one she wrote faith, on another brave, and on a third together. She tied them in a little cloth pouch and placed them beside the printed story. Then she added a final note. "Our bridge is built of hope and light. I carry it with me." Jenna sealed the package and walked to the post office. The sky was clear and birds sang overhead. She felt light in her chest, as if her courage were soaring. The clerk weighed the package and stamped it priority. Jenna thanked her and left, imagining Marcus opening it that evening. At home, Jenna worked on her next art piece, a painting of a single sunflower, turning toward the sun. She used bright yellows and deep greens. She painted slowly, focusing on each petal. To her, the sunflower symbolized people who face challenges and still find the light. When it was done, she let it dry and signed the corner with her name and the date. That afternoon, her phone buzzed. It was Marcus. The screen showed his smiling face. Jenna's heart leaped, held up the pouch of painted stones and the printed story. "This is beautiful," he said softly. "These stones feel like little worlds of hope." He opened the story and read a few lines aloud. His voice trembled. Jenna felt tears of joy gather in her eyes. They talked for a long time. Marcus told Jenna about his growing confidence leading the art workshop. He had shown her story to his students and asked them to build their own bridges of light. Their voices joined in laughter and quiet wonder. Jenna shared her painting of the sunflower and placed the canvas by her window where she could see it. Every morning that evening, they planned Jenna's next visit. This time, they would not only laugh and explore the city, but also host a small gathering at Marcus's studio. They would display their art, tell their story of distance and reconnection, and invite others to bring their own symbols of hope. Jenna felt a thrill at the thought of sharing their journey in person. As night fell, Jenna sat by her window with a hot cup of tea. She looked at the stars and thought of the lanterns in her story. She realized that each small act, each letter, each sketch, each painted stone had been a lantern guiding her and Marcus back to each other. She whispered, "Our bridge of light is strong." The next morning, Jenna packed her suitcase again. Inside, she placed the sunflower painting, the story, the bridge of light, and a fresh pouch of painted stones. She added printed flyers, inviting friends to their art gathering. She zipped the bag with a smile, knowing that every item was a promise of hope. On the train to Marcus's city, Jenna watched the landscape change from rolling hills to bustling suburbs. She thought about how far she had come from a lonely desk, checking mailboxes, to this moment of purpose and reunion. She believed in the power of human courage to build bridges, one small stone at a time. When the train arrived, Jenna stepped onto the platform and saw Marcus waiting, the yellow scarf around his neck. He waved and called her name. Jenna picked up her pace and ran into his arms. They laughed, tears shining in their eyes. He held up her sunflower painting. She showed him the story and the stones she had painted. They walked to his studio together, arms linked. Inside, Marcus's students had already set up chairs. Mosaic of hope glowed on the screen, and the room felt warm with shared creativity. Jenna and Marcus told their story of distance and reconnection. They passed around the painted stones and read the Bridge of Light. Everyone added a small note or sketch to a new journal they called Our Shared Journey. After the gathering, Jenna and Marcus sat on a bench outside. The sun had set, and a gentle breeze rustled the journal's pages. Jenna leaned against Marcus. She breathed in the cool air and felt complete. Distance was no longer a barrier, but a reminder of the human spirit's strength. That night, Jenna and Marcus looked at their lanterns, tiny lights they had made from paper and wire. They lit them and held them side by side. The lights flickered like stars. Jenna smiled and said, "Our bridge will carry us anywhere." Marcus nodded, and they released the lanterns into the sky. Together, they watched the lights drift upward, carrying their hope into the dark. And in that moment, Jenna knew that humans brave, kind, creative could cross any distance when they worked together with hope in their hearts.